All right, hello and welcome everyone. It's Doug Diamond here. You are at the Diamond Report Live. Thank you for being here. Yes, Bill Gates is evil for sure. Mosquito Gates prepares October surprise. Mosquito Gates. Yes. Well, who knows? That could be what's going on. It says Bill Gates is up to his demonic eugenicist tricks again, as we just saw in that video. Demonic eugenicist tricks again, for sure. Yeah, I noticed that they said that he wants to eradicate the mosquitoes, is what he said. He means, when he's talking about the mosquitoes, he means you and I, not the bugs. We're the bugs, not the insects. He wants to eradicate all of us, you see. I know you guys know that, but it's always good to point that out. And I thought this was kind of funny. It's called Eastern Equine Encephalitis. You guys know what equines are, don't you? Horses. So I guess you could just call this the horse flu. That's next. The horse flu. Thanks to the mosquitoes. So that's what it looks like to me. Yeah. So it says Bill Gates and his Rockefeller Foundation comrades are racing to place the population on lockdown in order to steal election 24. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? That might very well be what's going on. Obviously, they can't afford to have an election and let Trump get in there, I don't think. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we've got a lot of fireworks between now and then. Hopefully, not literal fireworks with world wars starting or anything, but my guess is they have lots in store for us between now and then. So anyway, hello and welcome. It's Doug Diamond. This is the Diamond Report Live. It's 10:07 p.m. on 8/25/24. And yeah, Matt says, keep those missing kids in prayers. Yep, there's a lot of them. Trump's been talking about that, actually, the millions of missing kids out there. So, yeah, I mean, the Biden and Harris administration have been trafficking human children, been trafficking human adults for pretty much this entire time they've been in there. So, the last 4 years, almost. So yeah, it's pretty crazy what's going on in the world right now. Anyway, this article, Mosquito Gates prepares October surprises on InfoWars, so feel free to look at that if you guys want to. All of the articles that I'll mention tonight will be on my Substack. I know you guys know that, but for new listeners, if there are any, again, my YouTube numbers are going backwards, so I have no idea if there's new people or not. But if there are, and if you're one of them, make sure you sign up on the Substack. The link is in the upper right corner up there. diamonddisc.substack.com. It's in the black box. No, I'm not being racist. That's just the color I chose. All right, so here we go. We've got Hal Turner Radio Show, a couple articles from there. Israel assassinates yet another Iranian official and then commences preemptive attacks against Hezbollah in Lebanon. So here we go again. Israel is killing more people. Israel has assassinated the head of Iran's Hash intelligence agency in front of his home in Iran and then commenced preemptive attacks against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Man, it just never stops with them, does it? Hossein Piri, head of the intelligence department of Kash City, Sistan, I guess is maybe I say it, in this province, Baluchistan, was killed in front of his home. The preemptive attack by Israel against Hezbollah was highlighted by Israeli fighter jets heard roaring towards Tel Aviv as they move to bomb Lebanon. Developing story happening now. This was as of last night, actually. So this all transpired during the course of last evening. So there's further details, including some video here of, you can see just some distant explosions and stuff, I assume from the jets flying over bombing things. Update at about 11 p.m. Eastern last night. Netanyahu convened a security cabinet. IDF claims it conducted strikes on long-range missiles Hezbollah prepared to launch at Israel. So they say. Again, we're just supposed to take their word for it, that whatever they say they're bombing and whoever they say they're absolutely murdering is for their own good, for Israel's own good. And no judge, no jury, no trial, no nothing. They just do it, and we're supposed to believe them. So you can see a lot of the other information here. What's triggered tonight's movement by Hezbollah, again, this was last night, to attack Israel was the assassination of the head of Kash in Iran, Iranian intelligence, who was assassinated in front of his house Israel is continuing to assassinate people inside Iran. So, and then they decide to start bombing Lebanon. So, man, there's quite a bit here actually on this particular article. If you want to look this up, HalTurnerRadioshow.com is where that one is. One more from that site. Everything is in its place. What event or false flag will be used to trigger actual World War III? We are still in the rumors of wars, as we talked about last week. This is, I think, what's mentioned in, what is it, Matthew 24, where he talks about where Jesus mentions the rumors of wars. I think that's exactly what we're in the middle of right now, in the midst of. Just to clarify, so there's no misunderstanding. Armies are in forward positions. Scenarios were run through computer simulations, AI to use more trendy expression, and alliances were decided and consolidated. Legislation was put through legal process. Except here in the U.S., we don't bother with that, you see. We just go to war. Politicians who will run things were selected. Everything is ready. Now it's a matter of using an event or creating an event to start World War III. What will be the spark that causes the explosion of war? I guess scenarios that were run through computers did not give satisfactory results, and that is the reason for delays. But everything is ready for World War version 3. Ukraine was a beta test. Yeah. World War 3.0. So anyway, those are the two articles I had pulled up on Hal's site. And then the Democrat National Catastrophe was this last week. Some people call it a convention. I call it a catastrophe because that's what it was. I don't know if you guys saw any of it. Unfortunately, I saw a great deal of it, and I will never get those hours of my life back, unfortunately. But I did watch the InfoWars presentation of it, so with them talking over the top of it, it made it somewhat bearable. But man, was it torture. And I did that just for you guys. Not that you guys asked me to, but I wanted to see what was being said and be able to report back to you guys. But yes, it was the Democrat National Catastrophe for sure. And this kind of, I think this clip sort of sums it up. Governor Newsom is just laughing over the DNC's switch to Kamala and says he was told to call it inclusive. And if you don't believe me, we'll just watch the video clip here. Here it is.
There's an intangible. It's different.
How are you feeling about the switch?
I mean, the switch. No, we went through a very open process, and a very inclusive process. I was bottom up. I don't know if you know that. Yes, that's what I've been told to say.
Yes, it was a blitz primary, I believe. That's what they called it.
It's a very, very fast blitz.
I think it was
a blink primary, so we call that.
Oh, a 30-minute convention.
Yeah.
Between a tweet and another tweet.
It's amazing how it happened.
Yeah, it's been amazing. But what is amazing is how unified everybody is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's next level.
Next level is for sure. Next level down, if you ask me. But yeah, they're just laughing it up, yucking it up, rubbing it in all of our faces. A very open process, very inclusive process. That's what I've been told to say, says Governor Newsom. Laughed about the open and inclusive process that resulted in the switch to Kamala as the Democrat Party's presidential nominee. Yes, that's true, and she never got a single vote, but it doesn't matter. Because they just do what they want. Imagine if the Republicans tried such a thing. I mean, I guess if it was not Trump, they might get away with it, but if it was anyone else. During a Friday appearance on Pod Save America, notice how they took the word God out, Pod Save America, Newsom had to laugh over the undemocrat nature of the DNC coronation of Harris after forcing Joe Biden out of the race. How are you feeling about the switch? He says, we went through a very open process, very inclusive process. It was bottom up. I don't know if you know that. That's what I've been told to say. So, yep, we know she was installed. They've been selected. So, yep, the Democrat National Catastrophe, we'll look at that a little bit more. I won't spend a ton of time on that because it's already over. So we'll just proceed. But there's some interesting things that have come out of that whole thing. And if Kamala had any momentum coming out of it, it was snuffed out almost instantaneously with what happened in, I think it was Friday afternoon, which we will get to that. All right, and then speaking of the DNC, Oprah and Michelle Obama, Big Mike, play the victim card at the DNC. Oprah and Big Mike both gave speeches at the DNC that painted themselves as victims. Oprah, who's worth an estimated $2 billion and owns property in Maui that's larger than Central Park in New York, decried racism, sexism, and income inequality. Well, yeah, she's definitely got way more income than any of the rest of us. Jimmy Dore said that the Democrat Party and the media promote these manufactured problems in order to divide the country. Democrats lack positive policies. Dore criticized Michelle, Big Mike, for saying that her family was suspicious of wealthy people. He recounted that the Obama regime increased poverty and homelessness by kicking 5.1 million people out of their homes during the banking crisis. And there's the video. So, yeah. And then Robbie Starbuck here tweets and says, I can't roll my eyes enough. America made Oprah incredibly wealthy in a way that no other country could have. In return, they get this. Yeah. Robbie Starbuck is a guy, I don't know him, but he's a guy here in Nashville where I am. He puts out some good tweets. Good person to follow on Twitter if you're on there. Anyway, a different Willie Brown says, Oprah says we're not going back. Back to what? Low food costs? Energy independence? Higher wages? Better jobs? Good grief. The fact that she thinks she can relate to everyday Americans is laughable. And then this person, Mike, says, I can't decide who is more oppressed, her or the Obamas. Yes, it is a toss-up for sure. Reminds me of Michelle Obama playing victim when First Lady. These hypocritical liars never get tired of race baiting, even when they have more privileges than 99.9999% of Americans. Yeah, but we're not supposed to notice that. They're special, you see. It's okay if they do it. Anyway, that article was on needtoknow.news. And so is this one. I mentioned this story quite a while back when it happened. So this is a follow-up. You guys may remember this. UK pro-life activist who is arrested for silently praying outside an abortion center gets a $17,000 payout. There she is here. I didn't really know what her name was. Her name was Isabel Vaughan Spruce, the director for the UK March for Life. She was arrested in March of 2023, so it's been that long. A year and a half ago almost, man. For allegedly violating a public space protection order by praying outside Birmingham's Robert Clinic, an abortion facility. She was acquitted. 2 weeks later, she was arrested again for her silent prayers. A video of the police harassment went viral. That's what I remember playing way back when. Probably in March of 23. The West Midlands Police in Birmingham apologized, and she received a payout of approximately $17,000 US. She said that she hopes that the police have finally learned a lesson that silent prayer is not and never can be a criminal activity. Oh, you watch. You watch, lady. You got lucky. She said that Christians are concerned about two-tier policing, that she just wants fair treatment as a pro-life advocate. So here's the video, actually, right here. We won't bother playing it, but you can watch it. It's embedded in this post. And yeah, I mean, the abortionists are really worried about people praying to God, especially on or near their property, because he might put it into it. They would not want that. It is their religion, after all. Well, it worked out for her, but she is in KC3's domain, meaning the UK, and KC3 is probably on the side of the abortionists, if you ask me. So he wouldn't want people praying to Jesus, that is for sure. Pretty amazing, actually. So that was a little bit of good news, I guess. Of course, they might turn around and arrest her yet again next week. Who knows? So let's see. Technocracy.news. We've got the three main articles on the site right now. Oh, Elon, millions of people will get Neuralink brain chips? ? Musk comes clean on his original plans for Neuralink, going far beyond medical needs. Now, he reveals that his implant will offer superhuman abilities to millions with no medical condition. Is anyone surprised? Musk is definitely staking his claim in Klaus Schwab's fourth industrial revolution, world of human enhancements. So, not good. He seems to have one foot on one side that's good for humanity and one foot on the other side that's not exactly good for humanity. And that's what this particular article is about. Technocracy.news wants the Neuralink for everyone. No thanks. Beyond Gigo, virtual inbreeding could spark AI doom. In the 1980s, we used to say garbage in, garbage out about computers. Now we are seeing the snake eating its own tail. Aurora boreas, right? That's what that's called. Virtual inbreeding, maybe the death of public-facing AI, but not the back end. Humanity's AI control systems feed on a fresh diet of organic data, quote-unquote. The Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies, the Internet of Nano-Bio-Things, plus data, spun off financial transactions, telemetry systems, etc. The former is a sideshow. The latter is the featured matinee. The latter is why AI companies are building humongous, power-grabbing data centers. So we've heard Trump about, he's been out there talking about and touting how AI needs all of this power and we need to, switch the oil back on and switch the coal factories back on and all this stuff. Which, to some degree, I understand what he's saying, but to power up AI to do this is only going to further enslave us. So I don't think he sees those several steps down the road there. But they want AI to be able to absorb all of this data. Financial transactions, mark of the beast if you ask me. Telemetry systems, the Internet of Bio-Things, the Internet of Bodies, the Internet of Things. Everything, including every blade of grass. They want to give everything its own node on the system. So it can all be controlled and co-opted. So that is one of the other articles here on technocracy.news. And then this one, Under the Skin, the Internet of Bio-Nano Things, which we just mentioned. First there was the Internet of Things, IoT. Then the Internet of Bodies, IoB. The Internet of Everything. And finally, Big Pharma, the military, are going into your blood to construct the Internet of Bio Things. I kid you not. You might have hoped for the Internet of Nothing, but instead you are getting the Internet of Universal Skynet. Yeah, that's what it will be, for sure. Terminator, anyone, right? So yeah, Under the Skin, Internet of Bio-Nano Things. That is not good. Not good at all. All right, let's see here. Let's keep moving. We've got first article from Gateway Pundit, which is a big one. Breaking. This is from Friday. Mentioned that earlier when we were talking about the DNC and the momentum shift and Harris's any momentum she had coming out of that convention, which that was negligible anyway, in my opinion. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr. officially suspends campaign but keeps the door open for White House bid, removes his name from 10 battleground states, and, oh, by the way, is joining the Trump team. He's going to be out there actively campaigning for Trump. So a lot of people are saying that this is so great, and a lot of people are saying this is so terrible. So it just depends on who you ask, I guess. In my opinion, I like Kennedy. I think he's a good man. From what I understand, Mr. Dane Wigington that I work with has been interviewed by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. before, and he knows about geoengineering, and it's out there. And from what I can tell, he seems like an honest guy. Now, there are some things that I do not agree with that he talks about, namely gun control, namely abortion, things like that. But anyway, that said, he has joined Team Trump apparently, and I think this is a pretty savvy move on his part. This is what the article is talking about here. During a press conference, Kennedy made it clear, this was on Friday, that his decision to suspend rather than end his campaign is a calculated move to keep his name on the ballot in most states, while strategically removing it in key battleground states where his presence could tip the scales between the majority party candidates. I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name will remain on the ballot in most states, Kennedy stated. He went on to explain that his candidacy will remain an option for voters in blue and red states without the risk of significantly harming or helping either Trump or Harris. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping Trump or Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. Kennedy's decision comes as polling data shows a deadlock between the two major party candidates, which of course I think is total sham. They just, they highly sample the Democrat audience, and most of the people responding are Democrats, so obviously they're going to give Kamala the leg up in the poll. So anyway, it says Kennedy's decision comes as polling data shows a deadlock between the two, with projections suggesting a possible 269 to 269 tie in the Electoral College. According to him, such a scenario could lead to a contingent election in which the House of Representatives decides the next president, situation Kennedy sees as his path to the White House. I doubt it, but I get it. I see what he's saying. It says, if enough of you do vote for me and neither of the major party candidates, meaning Harris or Trump, win 270 votes, which is quite possible, I could conceivably end up in the White House in a contingent election. So all that to say, that's why he's only suspending his campaign and not stopping, not ceasing. But the savvy thing that, to me, is it's about the battleground states. It says, in about 10 of the battleground states where my presence would be a spoiler, I'm going to remove my name. I've already started that process and urge voters not to vote for me, meaning in those battleground states. And this is the speech that he gave on Friday, where he gave his announcement as to what he was doing. It was very interesting, very interesting. So we'll see what happens. I do think that him being on the ballot, but not exactly on the ballot, depending on which state you're in, will definitely help Trump. So we'll see. We'll see if there's an election, then it could help, move the needle a few points to overcome the fraud. So as they say, too big to rig. I don't know if that's possible. Being how AI is driven so many things, driving so many things now. I'm not sure that there is such a thing as too big to rig. Maybe there is, but we'll see. If there's an election, then we'll find out firsthand what all transpires. So, yeah, really hard to say. RFK Jr. and Harris says Harris has no interest in ridding the U.S. food supply of toxic chemicals and ending corporate control of federal agencies. While dropping out of the presidential race, well, he didn't actually, did he? We just read that. In endorsing Trump on Friday, Kennedy said that Harris has no interest in ridding the nation's food supply of toxic chemicals or cleaning house at agencies like the FDA or Department of Agriculture. So it's good that this information is coming out. I don't think most people really understand how toxic most of the food in America is. I mean, even the organic is compromised. I know you guys know that, but so many people don't have any idea. During his announcement, Kennedy suggested he would be involved in a future Trump administration with the focus on ending chronic health issues. That's kind of his big thing now. And raising regulatory standards for the U.S. food supply. It was interesting. I found. I know he's a good Catholic, but I did remember hearing him say in his main speech there, where he was talking about joining the Trump team on Friday. He did mention God a number of times and says he's been praying every day to God. He didn't say Jesus, but he did say God, and talking about a way to help these kids who are chronically suffering with various and sundry diseases that were just unheard of a few decades ago. From diabetes to fatty liver to all kinds of stuff. So I do think his heart's in the right place. We'll see what happens. If Trump gets in there, I do look for Kennedy to be front and center in that administration. And Mike Adams on Natural News and Brighteon was supporting the idea of him heading up the HHS, the Health and Human Services, which would put Kennedy above the FDA and above the CDC and so forth, which I think would be a brilliant move. So we'll see. Other people are saying they should put him in charge of the CIA. I just don't know. I don't know. But if he gets in there, I think that Trump will put him to use somewhere. So back to the DNC for just a minute. Ashley Biden just opened Pandora's box at the DNC convention with 3 words. Yes, Ashley Biden, believe it or not, was on the stage at the DNC and introduced her own pedophile dad. Can you imagine? And here's a video here. Ashley Biden calls her father the, quote, OG girl dad. end quote, in her speech introducing Biden at the DNC on night one. I thought it was funny that they pushed Biden way back as the last or nearly the last speaker that night. I think it was the second night, and I don't see how he was even able to function. You've heard the stories that he's only good from about 10 a.m. to about 4 p.m., and you could kind of tell he was a little bit out there, even more than normal. It seemed like he was fairly drugged up or something. It's hard to say. Of course, we don't know drugged up from reality at this point. Ashley Biden, Jill, and Joe opened a huge Pandora's box at the DNC when she introduced her father to the crowd. It's no secret that Ashley and Joe have a questionable relationship, thanks to her diary that she accidentally left in a halfway house after she went through therapy for a laundry list of issues and addictions. A sad but typical problem with the Biden children. So you can imagine everyone's shock when Ashley stood at the DNC podium and introduced her father as the OG girl dad, quote unquote. How do you go from inappropriate showers to girl dad spirit? It's a leap that's just too far for any normal person to make. Yeah, those comments opened a can of worms. The internet was instantly flooded with reminders of Ashley's dark and disturbing diary entry. Like this one, it says, Ashley's girl dad spirit means showering with your dad and ending up an alcoholic druggie in therapy. Yep. Unfortunately, that is the way it turned out. So, yeah, there's quite a bit here. Talks about when she was having showers, inappropriate showers, and there it is there. And being assaulted here, being molested as a little one. By a dear old dad. Yeah, the OG girl dad. So very sad, very sick. Yeah. So I think they call that Stockholm Syndrome. Anyway, there you go. So that was at the Democrat National Catastrophe. Everybody expected her to come out in a shower cap or a bathrobe or something, but it didn't happen. She was just dressed as normal, I suppose. But anyway, it was very odd, very strange, very surreal. But the whole thing was. In case anyone still cares, here's a short thread on how an online rumor takes off amid rumors that Taylor Swift or Beyonce would perform at the DNC. This was supposed to be on the final night, which turned out to be a total lie. Amid rumors that T Swift or Beyonce would perform at the DNC, this blue check account with 600,000 followers tweeted at about noon, that a big surprise was on the way, and the tweet took off. This is on the Angry Staffer account on Twitter. I've been sworn to secrecy, but you don't want to miss the DNC tonight. If you thought the Oprah surprise was big, just wait. 20 minutes later, this other random blue check account with more than 100,000 followers described a gap in tonight's DNC schedule, quote unquote, for a special guest. It also got thousands of shares. So this is how rumors are started, is what they're saying here. 3 hours later, White House political director tweeted a B seeming to confirm rumors of Beyonce. So, yeah. And then she blamed her 6-year-old for that happening. She later recanted, saying her 6-year-old had accidentally tweeted the B, but it was too late. Her 6-year-old has access to her account, and she is the White House political director. We're supposed to believe this. Yes, I guess so. Anyway, she's caught. That's what that was about. And then blame the 6-year-old. And then when the 6-year-old is grown up someday, she'll see that tweet from her mom lying about her. Him or her. We don't know which. All right. And then there's more about this here. Beyonce performing at DNC's final night and all this stuff. TMZ reported it wrongly as well. So it really, really kind of took off as far as the rumors go. It seemed to be mostly about Beyonce being there performing. So many lessons in here for online media hygiene, and now the Angry Staffer account has apologized. So that makes it all better. The apology says, special guest rumor. I'm not sure where it started, but the people who told me aren't prone to hyperbole. For what it's worth, Beyonce was the rumor. Makes me feel a little better than Reuters, TMZ, The Hill, and other outlets also reported, but either way, I apologize. So, who knows how many followers they lost. Krasenstein tweet went from 859,000 followers, also served to fan the flames. So the DNC supporters were really out there fanning the flames, like this says. So yeah, and it was all a lie. It was all just rumors. And Beyonce was never going to play. Taylor Swift was, I think, in Europe or something. And the other person that I thought was funny that they were touting would be there would be George W. Bush, which, I mean, he is a traitor, so I guess he could be there. But none of that happened. Very, very crazy. And then I thought this was funny. This is the same energy. This is kind of a juxtapose here. We have Tampon Tim here on the left and Richard Simmons on the right. I'll just mute it because you don't really need to see it. But you can see how, you don't really need to hear anything, but you can see how it's basically the same thing. And yeah. So Tampon Tim is Richard Simmons 2.0. Well, Richard Simmons, you know, for what it's worth, he, I think, was a pretty decent person. Tim, not so sure. I don't think so. I think it's pretty easy to say, no, he's not. But anyways, thought that was kind of funny, where they're putting the two guys side by side. Freudian slip of the century from a speaker at the DNC Black Caucus meeting. He says, we got 70 days to act right. After 70 days, we can go back to acting crazy.
We got 70 days to act right, y'all.
That's right.
Now, after 7 days, we can go back there and crazy. Right? We got 70 days to act right, y'all.
That's right.
Now, after 7 days, we can go back there and crazy. Right?
Yep, they got 70 days, then they can go back to acting crazy. So that kind of sums it up. That's exactly what they want to do. Anyways, yeah, they can go back to acting crazy, and they will. I don't know that they'll ever stop, honestly. All right, Telegram founder Pavel Durov has been arrested. Reportedly arrested by French authorities on Saturday evening at airport and revealed by Andrew Tate. Durov's arrest is alleged to be connected to accusations of failing to censor content on Telegram. That's an issue that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg are not having. Let's just say that. With potential charges, including support for terrorism and money laundering. Those are the two they always get you with. If you see that someone's been accused of terrorism and money laundering, you can bet they're probably fighting for what's right. Just a guess. I mean, these days, you just flip it around. You do the 180. This news comes amid speculation about the possible lengthy imprisonment and reflects Durov's ongoing conflicts with governmental authorities over privacy and free speech issues. Pavel Durov, founder of the popular messaging app Telegram, which I use that. The Diamond Report is on Telegram. I'm not sure if you guys are, but if you're not, you should be. It's a good system. Or at least it is until they ruin it, which as of right now they have not. Was reportedly detained by French authorities on Saturday, Andrew Tate revealed on X. According to multiple sources, Durov was arrested around 8 p.m. at the airport on the outskirts of Paris. He was reportedly accompanied by his bodyguard and a woman at the time of his arrest. And yeah, pretty interesting. We've got a little clip of a interview that this guy did with Tucker Carlson. We'll look at that when we get around to it here on one of my many tabs across the top of the screen. So more on that coming up. Team Tampon in damage control mode after yet another lie involving late-night text messages is revealed. So this guy just keeps stepping in it. It's amazing. And of course, no one calls him on it except the alternative media, not the mainstream media, because he's their guy. Tim Walz has told so many lies that we're about to start an Excel spreadsheet just to keep track. It feels like every day a new lie is uncovered. It all started with this disgusting stolen valor where he blatantly lied about his military service to gain political favor. Then he lied about his 1995 DUI arrest and had to backpedal. Recently, he even lied about using IVF treatments with his wife as an attack line against J.D. Vance. Wow. But just when you think there's nothing left for Tim to lie about, a new scandal breaks. This time, Tim was busted lying about text messages regarding an infrastructure spending deal. He claimed he was up late, feverishly texting about this phantom deal. But when pressed, his team had to admit the texts didn't exist, and Tampon Lion Tim had misspoke. A quiet and polite way of saying he's a bald-faced liar. Yeah, he misspoke, i.e. he lied. As it stands now, Tim's lies are piling up so high that even the left-wing regime cheerleaders at Axios have had to acknowledge them. But don't worry, they tried to run damage control for Tampon Tim by calling his blatant lies gaffes. Sound familiar? They pulled the same trick with old Joe, another notorious liar and con man. Yeah, I think I've got an article pulled up, or at least I saw it earlier. I think I still have the tab that's calling Tim Walz Joe Biden 2.0. I would say, and Richard Simmons might be a subset of that too. We saw him waving a little while ago. Anyway, Kevin O'Leary suggests Harris could be Hillary Clinton 2.0. It's 50-50. Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary suggested Harris could be Hillary 2.0 situation. In fact, Harris loses, and it's 50-50. She may win, she may lose. This whole party, the Democrat Party, is going to revisit what happened here. They did the same thing with Hillary. O'Leary argued that Clinton and Harris situations are similar because they both have been anointed by the Democrat Party. That's right. Remember, they stole it from old Bernie. They stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. He earned it, and they gave it to Hillary back in, I guess that was in 2016. So, yeah. Says that they have both been anointed by the Democrat Party. As pressure mounted for Biden to suspend his campaign and allow someone else to run, questions rose about who would take his spot and if the party would create a mini primary of sorts for interested candidates to throw their hat in the ring. Oh, that's not how it works. It's all done in shady backroom deals, isn't it? We know. When Biden announced he was stepping aside, which of course we now know was not even him that did it, it was announced, but he didn't do it. He endorsed his running mate, Harris. Since then, top Democrats have joined him in endorsing Harris, and she officially became the party nominee at the DNC this week. If Harris loses to Trump in the upcoming election like Clinton did in 2016, the party will never do this to itself again. I don't think the party is about to let itself be out of power. I don't think that, if you ask me, that the Democrats will allow. They've already said they weren't going to allow Trump to be sworn in, and that they're going to basically stage a coup against him if he were to win the election. They're not going to allow him in. So they've already stated this. I don't think the Democrats are going to give up any power. And in fact, they may control all of Congress. I think that's more likely what will happen, again, if there's even an election. So anyway, that's on the Hill. Let's see, exclusive. Washington, D.C. family lose custody of their autistic son, 16, after refusing to let him transition into a girl. Well, let's see. Military family who lost custody of their autistic son after they refused to transition his gender are suing a major D.C. hospital. Family said that their boy had never shown any desire to become a girl until at 16 he was hospitalized for self-harming after a bitter breakup with his girlfriend. Staff at the Children's National Hospital informed the family that he wanted to be a female and should be referred to using she and her pronouns going forward, the suit claims. His Army veteran parents rejected the suggestion, so both parents were on the same page, which is pretty amazing, saying that their son was impressionable due to being autistic. They have accused the hospital of starting a full-on campaign to transgender this child and accused staff of mental reprogramming their son. And he'd been forced to write letters to friends disavowing his previous male identity. So and then there's a picture here with some of the faces blurred out. Pictured above is hospital chaplain Lavender Kelly, who's believed to be currently caring for the child. Lavender. So you can see that this poor kid's in really good hands, huh? Not good at all. So anyway, that's something that is very unfortunate, and who knows where it's headed, because it's an autistic kid and he can obviously be taken advantage of. So, very sad situation there. And speaking of kids who are on the spectrum, you probably didn't see this if you didn't see any of the DNC, but along the at some point there on the last night, there was a strange thing that happened with old Tampon Tim again and his son, who's apparently named Gus. It says, what happened with Tim and his son Gus? You decide. A video clip from the disastrous DNC convention is going viral. It's a brief moment captured on film where Tim and his family are walking out on stage for their big moment, and Tim is seen yanking his son. Tim Walsh yanking his son on stage. Damn, Pops, you're assaulting a young man suffering from ADHD, neurodivergent nonverbal learning disorder, and anxiety. It says, for what it's worth, Tim's 17-year-old son, Gus, has a series of challenges he deals with, including ADHD and anxiety issues. Well, I would think so. With Tampon Tim as his dad, what do you expect? All right, well, here's the video. You can see that he just kind of grabs him, kind of yanks him hard right there. But on the other hand, Gus doesn't seem the least bit fazed by it. You can tell he's used to it, if you ask me. The rest of us were surprised to see that happen. However, Gus was not surprised, was he? So there it is, kind of yanked. I'm looking at Tim more than I'm looking at Gus, and you can see that he's kind of angry. So, who knows what's going on there? Anyway, I thought that was kind of bizarre. I would say, just judging from the looks of it, and from what this article's saying here, this kid might be on the spectrum perhaps, or if he's not, then he may be very close. You'd like to think Tim was just trying to redirect his child, but even so, a gentler touch would go a long way. However, it's hard for a lot of people to think positively about Walls, especially after the laundry list of lies that he's told. He just doesn't seem like a good guy. But chances are we'll never know what really happened on that stage. Let's just hope young Gus is feeling at peace with the night's festivities. It's a lot for any teen to handle, let alone a special needs teen. Yep. So anyways, didn't know if you knew about old Gus there. Very strange. And I feel sorry for him because he's got that guy for a dad. President Trump now refusing intelligence briefings thanks to deep state secret sabotage and the Obama effect. Anyone paying attention can see that Trump is under relentless attacks from all sides. He's being betrayed by rhinos in his own party, targeted by the regime, uniparty operatives, the media, and of course the deep state, a group of unelected shadowy bureaucrats from the military-industrial complex and intelligence communities who pull the strings behind the scenes in our government and work overtime to set up, target, and sabotage Trump. By now we're familiar with many of their tactics. Just look at the web of lies surrounding J6, right? Okay, so let's see. Trump's refusing intelligence briefings because the deep state continues to try and sabotage him. So here's the video.
Nominees traditionally get an intelligence services briefing when they become the nominee. Are you getting those briefings now? There was some controversy about that.
Well, I could if I wanted them, but I don't want them because, number one, I know what's happening. They come in, they give you a briefing, and then 2 days later they leak it, and then they say you leaked it. So the only way to solve that problem is not to take it. I don't want it.
Makes sense to me. Only way to solve it is not to take it. I don't want it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So maybe he is wising up here a little bit. Let's hope so. So yeah, refusing the intelligence probably coming from the Obama team, the Obama CIA and Obama FBI and everything else. Because we all know that he's still running the show. Anyway, I thought that was semi-interesting. I wanted to point that out to you guys. Okay, liveaction.org. Democrat National Convention kicks off with free abortions, vasectomies, and giant IUDs. Planned Parenthood of Great Rivers announced last week that it will be giving away the abortion pill and vasectomies for free during the first 2 days of the DNC. Isn't that nice? Cementing the strong relationship forged between the political party and America's number one abortion business. Yeah, and child sacrifice organization. So anyway, Great Rivers Planned Parenthood includes parts of Missouri and Illinois. An announced plan by social media. Chicago, we're headed your way to provide free, capitalized free, vasectomies and abortions. Exclamation point. They are just so excited about killing little babies. See? There's a tweet right there. Got the mobile murdering van there. Pretty amazing. And very sick. But this is a good thing to prove that we are indeed in the end times, because I think this type of thing is certainly what we would expect to see, isn't it? All right, let's look at reclaimthenet.org. Telegram founder Pavel Durov arrested in France reportedly for refusing to censor content, which I mentioned that earlier. North Carolina is challenged on its ballot box selfie ban. Ballot box selfie ban. A lawsuit challenges North Carolina's restrictions on ballot selfies, framing the issue as a fight for First Amendment rights and the preservation of political expression in the digital age. So ballot selfies. I don't think I'd heard of that before. Behind the curtain, new Twitter files reveals Biden-Harris team's global censorship web. The latest Twitter files reveal Biden administration ties to social media censorship in India through a network of government and lobbying firm interactions. They're all about that. UK to expand its censorship department as the government increases online speech control. As Ofcom ramps up its workforce to enforce the Online Safety Act, not 1984-like at all, fears of growing censorship and the erosion of free speech loom large in the UK. Yep. And as we said last week, who's in charge? That's right. King Charles. That's who. Canada's Conservatives push back against digital dollar plans. Conservatives push to ensure cash remains king in Canada amidst rising concerns over privacy and digital currency control. A battle revisited the Supreme Court's history with age verification and online anonymity bans, exploring past attempts, and the selfie surveillance state, how digital ID systems may soon decide if you fly. As the final phase of biometric digital ID testing advances, concerns rise over privacy and the long-term retention of biometric data collected by federal agencies. Collected and given away by federal agencies, as we mentioned last week. All the billions of social security numbers, right? Yeah, and we'll look at that a little bit more tonight as well. I've got an article pulled up on that. All right, the Liberty Beacon website. Trump can now deploy ex-Dem Power Rangers, RFK Jr., Musk, and Gabbard to prod bigger exodus. Power Rangers. That's funny. Ex-Dem Power Rangers. Says when RFK formally divorced the party his family once ruled as kingmakers, he opened the door for more Democrats to follow suit in embracing Donald Trump in 2024 and increasing a unity party where Americans can disagree and debate without destroying each other. Imagine that. Which is how the world was really up until, I would say, personally, I think that all changed in about the Clinton years. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's really when things went off the tracks in a big way. Kennedy said, I attended my first Democrat convention at the age of 6 in 1960. He fondly recalled the era in which his Uncle John and Father Robert Sr. ruled the Democrat establishment. Back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution and of civil rights, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. Anyway, that's on the Liberty Beacon. And this one, Tim Walz, Joe Biden 2.0, which is, I mentioned this earlier. Vice presidential candidate Tim Walz keeps getting caught in his own lies. So, yeah, again, going back to comparing him to Biden, which, yep, at least he can talk, but still, we don't really want to hear what he has to say. On RT, Russia demands France explain the Durov arrest. French authorities have so far avoided engaging over the Telegram founder's detention. The Russian embassy in Paris has said. It's so crazy how it seems like these governmental organizations, whoever they are, whoever's in charge, just ignore what they don't want to hear. So they just ignore it, and it's not happening. Like, we don't have to respond. That's what seems like is going on here, too. They're just going to keep him, I guess. Telegram comments on founder's arrest. Company's CEO Pavel Durov is not responsible for any misuse of his platform, Telegram said in a statement. Yeah, but he's not cooperating with giving the government backdoors into his system, into his platform. That's what it seems like to me. All right, let's see. WNG.org from the SIFT. Congress demands answers about the consumer data breach. I mentioned this a little bit ago. Reps Comer and Nancy Mace on Thursday sent a letter, probably strongly worded, to National Public Data asking for details about a cyber attack the Florida-based data aggregation company allegedly suffered. Reports about the event indicated the group USDOD stole as many as 3 billion people's sensitive information in the attack and put it up for sale on the dark web for $3.5 billion. Comer and Mace said, if those reports are true, this cyber attack is one of the largest in history. Well, again, I think they were handed the information. I don't know that it was actually a cyber attack, but that's what they're blaming it on, of course. Has the company denied the attack? The company admitted that the hackers attempted to break into its database in December. It said breaches may have occurred in April or sometime this summer, and hackers likely obtained individuals' names, social security numbers, addresses, and email addresses in the breach. The company said it was working with law enforcement to review the incident and records involved and would contact affected individuals as soon as possible. The 3 billion individuals. 3 billion. So, I mean, obviously they have a lot of dead people's information in there too, but man, this is not good. What exactly are those Congress members asking for? Well, let's see. What could they possibly be asking for? Confirm the details of the attack and the company's response. They also asked for more information about what data that the hackers stole and how many people the breach affected, which we've already heard, 3 billion, according to this. So, man, that is not good news. That's probably me and you and everyone you know. Data compromised, I would say, on purpose. But they just say it was an accident. It was hacked. Very convenient, huh? PeoplesVoice.tv. New Zealand lifts food safety laws to allow sale of Bill Gates' lab-grown meat without labels in New Zealand. So, for you New Zealanders out there, just watch out. Gates and company are coming for you. BBC used convicted pedophiles as chauffeurs for elite VIPs and celebrities for 30 years. Convicted pedophiles. Yeah. You know, like those guys who are best friends with King Charles III. Anthony Fauci, who advised GMO mosquito release, hospitalized with West Nile. WEF warns an era of shock events is coming. An era of shock events. That doesn't sound good. And they should know because they're the ones planning it and making sure that it happens. Trump says U.S. is running out of ammo. Running out of ammunition because Biden's administration bled the stockpiles dry to arm Ukraine. Yep, I've heard that too. That's something that Hal Turner's reported on many, many times. Kamala Harris pledges continued support for Ukraine. Of course. Primary school teacher sacked after calling pupils chattering monkeys. The Church of England school this teacher has been sacked, meaning fired, over allegations of racism after she called pupils in her class chattering monkeys. Racism. So I guess some monkeys somewhere were offended because otherwise, why is that so bad? Calling your kids in your class chattering monkeys, and that is what they sound like sometimes. Rand Paul blasts the TSA for putting Trump supporters on terror watch list. It's unconstitutional. No kidding. But that is why the TSA exists, so they can do that kind of stuff. Texas bans transgenders from changing their sex on government documents. But that's on the People's Voice. Information Liberation headlines. Medvedev to Durov. Medvedev is former Russian president. He says, you'll always be a Russian. So again, back to Durov. Trying to give him some support, but yeah, he's in a jail in France, so that's not good. And then that's what the next article is about as well. Freed Israeli hostage says she was injured by IDF bombing, not Hamas. Imagine that. Well, we're supposed to believe it was the Hamas that did everything bad on October the 7th. It was all their fault. No, it was actually the IDF. The IDF killed most of the people that died that day. Now, were there hostages taken? Yes, probably so. Was Hamas involved? Yes, probably so. Most definitely. However, it was also a stand down. They let them come in. Well, we went over that many times. Kamala gives full-throated defense of Israel in DNC speech, says she's prepared to fight Iran. Well, yeah, she didn't really say much on policy really during the whole DNC convention, so, you know, it was just a few words. Google censorship hits comical levels. Google is now censoring searches for information liberation using the site : operator and forcing people to wade through page after page of regime propaganda to get a single result. Yeah, information liberation has been pushed to the bottom of the search results on Google for sure, as are many alternative news websites. U.S. government report links fluoride to lower IQ in kids. So the whole fluoride thing is kind of broke this last week, I guess, the last few days. Kind of strange. We've known about fluoride and how terrible it is for a long time. And the U.S. government has put out a report saying, hey, maybe fluoride's not so good for us. After decades of lies and disinformation, U.S. government on Wednesday stated for the first time ever that fluoride in drinking water appears to be lowering kids' IQs. Just kids, though, not the rest of us. I guess we're supposed to believe that. I don't know. Anyway, there's quite a few articles here. On information liberation, it's a good site. And then, oh yeah, I wanted to mention this about the Noahide laws on Daily Crow. And then there's a link to this YouTube video. The 7 Noahide laws are a rejection of Jesus Christ. People have been requesting that I look into this issue for a long while now. I will admit that it didn't. This isn't me talking. This is the guy on the video. I will admit that it didn't seem like a major thing to me until I actually researched it. What I have found has been very shocking, and I will be preaching very hard against this Noahide issue in the future. I believe it's the system of government which the Antichrist will be using in the future. The real danger for us today is that there are Jews alive right now that would like to force the Noahide laws on everyone. Freedom-loving people must fight against this nonsense, which is based on the Talmud and not the Scriptures. So that is what this video right here is about. From Born Again Barbarian on YouTube. 7 Noahide laws are a rejection of Jesus Christ. So I did watch a little bit of it, and it's a pretty long video, though, so I won't play any of it tonight. But I will link to this in the Substack post. So make sure you're on there, and then kind of interesting info, though, for sure. And then we'll come back to this other story from this site in just a second. Watch what Durov told Carlson about U.S. pressure. So this is the guy that we were talking about so much tonight that's been arrested, the Telegram founder. And let's listen to what he says here. This is a pretty short clip, but I think it's important.
There's this second part, which was probably more alarming there in the US. We get too much attention from the FBI, the security agencies, wherever we came to the US. So to give you an example, last time I was in the US, I brought an engineer that is working for Telegram, and there was an attempt to secretly hire my engineer behind my back by cybersecurity officers or agents, whatever they are called.
The U.S. government tried to hire your engineer?
That's my understanding. That's what he told me.
To write code for them or to break into Telegram?
They were curious to learn which open source libraries are integrated to the Telegram's app, on the client side, and they were trying to persuade him to use certain open source tools that he would then integrate into the Telegram's code that, in my understanding, would serve as backdoors.
Would allow the U.S. government to spy on people who use Telegram?
The U.S. government, or maybe any other government, because a backdoor is a backdoor regardless of who is using it.
That's right. And that's a little surprising to hear. Maybe it's not surprising, it's offensive. You're confident that happened?
Yes. There is no reason for my engineer to make up the stories. Also because I personally experienced similar pressure in the US. Whenever I would go to the US, I would have two FBI agents greeting me at the airport, asking questions. One time I was having my breakfast at like 9 a.m. and the FBI showed up at my house that I was renting. And that was quite surprising. And I thought, we're getting too much attention here. It's probably not the best environment to run.
Why would had you committed a crime?
No, they were interested to learn more about Telegram. They knew I, left Russia. They knew what we were doing, but they wanted details. And my understanding is that they wanted to establish a relationship to kind of, in a way, control Telegram better. I understand that they were doing their job. It's just that for us running a privacy-focused social media platform, that probably wasn't the best environment to be in. We want to be focused on what we do, not on government relations of that sort.
Yeah, so there is Durov in his own words. So says American security agencies have been trying to get more control over Telegram for a long time, the tech entrepreneur believes. So we'll see. Hopefully this guy will be able to stay alive. So, if they were able to knock him off somehow, then it's hard to say what would happen with Telegram. Pretty interesting, very interesting situation unfolding for sure. U.S. preparing to lift ban on strikes deep inside of Russia. Washington cannot be trusted over claims that Ukraine is prohibited from using certain weapons, Russian envoy has said. So yes, the U.S. is going to lift bans on striking deep inside Russia. Imagine if Russia lifted bans on striking deep within the U.S. Would that be okay? Claims by Washington that it has banned Ukraine from using U.S.-supplied long-range weapons for strikes deep inside Russian territory cannot be trusted. No kidding. Ukrainian leader Zelensky has resumed his calls for the country's Western backers to allow long-range strikes on Russian territory. So, yeah, that will definitely be World War III if that happens, won't it? Man. Anyway, I thought that was very concerning. All right. We were talking about monkeypox last week, and now this article. Massive 90-foot tall Hanuman statue unveiled at this ceremony in the U.S. It's in Houston, I guess. It says on August 18th, a massive 90-foot tall statue of Lord Hanuman is what they're calling this thing. It was unveiled at a ceremony in Houston, Texas. It's called Pradishta, I guess. Maybe it probably says what it is. I think it's an Indian thing. It says it's named State of the Union. It is the embodiment of strength, devotion, and selfless service, quote unquote. All qualities associated with Lord Hanuman in his role reuniting Lord Ram and Sita. So this is not good. 90-foot tall statue. Let's see. It's now the third tallest statue in the U.S. and North America's tallest statue of Hanuman. State of the Union is its name. I don't know why it's called that. So let's see. I'll just let the video play here. I don't think there's anything to really listen to here much. So there it is. It looks like it's one of the male-female type of crazy statue type critters. His Holiness, somebody or other, is the brain behind the project. Huge 90-foot tall statue featuring a bronze-colored Hanuman standing with both palms facing forward resides within the premises of this temple in Sugar Land, Texas, which is near Houston. So there's a couple other versions of it, I guess. But what's crazy was, this is the other thing that I found about Hanuman, which I didn't remember this, but it says Texas gets the official demonic sculpture, 90-foot tall, third tallest statue in the U.S. Bizarre clip resurfaces of Obama showing the statue of Hanuman that he carries in his pocket. And there's a still image here of him. There's Obama holding his Hanuman statue. This is what he says in the video. The little statuette of the monkey god Hanuman that a woman gave me, the reason that if I feel tired or I feel discouraged, I can reach into my pocket and say, yeah, that's something I can overcome. So that's the same little statue that Obama carries around with him. Weird. Very strange. Anyway, now it's a 90-foot tall statue in Texas. I'm not sure how long it's going to be there. I'm not sure if it's, probably says on here somewhere, if it's staying or if it's traveling or what it's doing. So anyway, very odd. So, Hanuman statue. Weird stuff. How the Kennedy assassinations ushered in a Zionist occupation of America. Since the assassinations of JFK and Brother Bobby, both of whom had a tempestuous relationship with Zionist leaders, no U.S. president has ever dared to criticize or withdraw support for Israel's military adventures. So, I thought that was a pretty interesting headline in subtitle there for this story. There's a lot here about that, so I'll let you guys check into it if you want, but talks about 9/11 and Bush and all this stuff. Goes into quite a bit of depth. This is on LifeSite News. So pretty interesting, huh? 3 dead after stabbing attack at a diversity festival in Germany. I mean, it wouldn't be a diversity festival without an Allah Akbar stabbing rampage, would it? 3 people were killed and 8 more were seriously wounded during a stabbing spree at the Festival of Diversity in the German city of Solingen on Friday evening. The sole suspect remains at large, so they didn't even catch him. According to eyewitnesses, perpetrators started attacking people at random at around 9:45 local time, where many had arrived to celebrate the city's 650th anniversary. Police have declared a manhunt for the suspect. So you can see there's some video here. People, not good. It's a population of nearly 160,000 people. It's located on Germany's western North Rhine-Westphalia state, not far from Dusseldorf and Cologne. So, anyway, a diversity festival. Well, you're asking for trouble if you ask me. I came across this website. We talked about the monolith that was found, I don't know, a few shows ago now. It's maybe a month ago at this point. It's been a little while. But apparently there's a whole website dedicated to the monolith tracker. The last one that I remember reporting on here was this one at Gas Peak Trail in Las Vegas. But according to this website, there have been 246 total monoliths that have been found. Now, I don't know how far back that goes. I haven't really noticed that, but there's the number there, 246. It says, welcome to Monolith Tracker, a collaborative effort on tracking the monoliths that are appearing around the world. We need your help to report new monoliths that we are missing. You can connect with us here, meaning at the Discord server. The monoliths have been researched and classified. Our top tier class is Class S and stands for significant monoliths, like the Utah one, followed by the Class P, possibly significant monoliths, and Class Q is questionable but verified. Unverified monoliths have their classes and will show a banner if we have not been able to confirm with the source. And it says, learn about the classification system here. So, weird, huh? So I knew about these monoliths. I think they were, the first ones appeared in, let's see, maybe 2016 or so. So it's been a little while. And what's interesting is they do have an interactive map on here. So if you go to the map and you just zoom in a little bit, you can see where these things were found. A lot of them have been found in the U.S. So this is the locations. And then if you hover on any of these, you can get information on them, and then they're clickable. So, weird, huh? The Monolith Tracker. And that is the website, monolithtracker.com. Very strange. It's a weird and wacky world, isn't it? All right. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of this video. I thought it was really good. And this is a preacher and church YouTube channel that I just happened across earlier today, apparently based out of Jacksonville, Florida, and I thought he made some pretty good points here, so I thought I would share it with you guys. This is the video here is about the HR 6090 criminalizing anti-Zionism. I think he really sums things up pretty nicely. So let's listen to this guy talk for just a few minutes.
But this, they're actually talking about making the gospel illegal in America. I want you to, the doctrine of Christ is under attack. Now look, everything that's going on in the Middle East, that's a big old mess. And I'm going to tell you straight out, I am not for either side. As with any war, both sides are breaking the law and they're doing things that are ungodly and dehumanizing. Both sides are to blame in a certain regard. And you know what? Let them sort it out. We don't need to take American money. We're so far in debt. We're destroying our economy, giving away money to every country. We need to leave them alone and just let them settle it. That's my political opinion. But here now we have a problem because this is on your doorstep. This has been passed. Listen to this. The House of Representatives passed the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, H.R. 6090, on Wednesday, which has sparked significant debate over the interpretation of religious text and the definition of hate speech. They're going to say in America that if you say Jesus is the Christ, then that's hate speech. This is where it's going. Now, for those that don't know much about the Muslim religion, it was started by a pervert, it was started by a pedophile, the Catholic Church was behind it, it was started through the Jesuits, and they are expecting another Christ. They call it the Mahdi. It's this next big savior, if you will, that will unite all of the religions. The Catholics, the Muslims, and Judaism are working together right now under the Abraham Accords to bring all three of those religions together against biblical Christianity. This is a big deal. The bill aimed at curbing hate speech amid heightened tensions on college campuses concerning Israel has been a significant majority of the public Republicans in support, while a coalition of Democrats and Republicans opposed it, citing free speech concerns. We know there's chaos in the schools. I would rather see them shut down. I mean, the Department of Education has absolutely failed us. They're making a bunch of God haters, aren't they? Yeah. People that believe that I came from a rock, I came from a worm, I came from a fish. The Bible says God created man, and if you don't believe that, you're in trouble philosophically. It passed with a vote, listen to this, 320 votes for the bill to 91 opposed. That's kind of a landslide, isn't it? Yeah. This is a big deal, and I got to tell you, I'm fired up about it because Christianity is under attack, and it breaks my heart that Christians are supporting it. Christians are saying, well, we have to support Israel and whatever she does, and well, she's trying to set up another Christ. Jesus warned us that another would come in his own name. Luke 21 tells us that they will call you before synagogues and persecute you. It's the Antichrist. That's what's coming in the end. And Christians are saying, well, we got to support this. If they want to build the temple, if they want to start the sacrifice, if they want to set up their own king, if they want to run everybody off. And look, if the nation state of Israel wants to wipe out all the Muslims, I'm not going to shed a tear other than they didn't hear Christ. The Muslims need to hear of Christ, that it's Jesus, and so does Judaism. They need to hear that it's Jesus Christ and him alone. This is so important. Our country is under attack through our own elected officials, and the ones that claim to be Christian are the worst ones. They're preparing the way for the false Christ, the Antichrist. It's happening right now. They voted 320 to 1. The bill defines anti-Semitism broadly, which, by the way, if you are an anti-Semite, if you hate anybody that's of the religion of Shem, that's racist, and the Bible condemns racism. We're all of one blood. Every nation is of one blood. But I would also remind you, if you go to Webster's dictionary and look up Semitism, it says if you think the Semites are better than everybody else, that is called racism. So there's two sides. It's reverse racism is what it is, okay? I'm for neither side. They all need to hear the gospel. The bill defines anti-Semitism broadly, incorporating definitions provided by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, including traditional anti-Semitic actions and accusations, such as those against the state of Israel. Critically, the bill makes it an offense. This is what has been passed. It makes it an offense to apply double standards to Israel or to accuse it of genocide. As far as I can tell, the truth is, they've killed, who's been killed, who Israel has attacked, has been 70% women and children unarmed. That's not right in war. But look, war is evil. I'm not for either side. I'm for the preaching of the gospel to the lost. I spoke about it recently when I went to New York a long time ago. I got off the subway and there was this vendor selling t-shirts. And he had that blasphemous picture of Jesus on the cross. Jesus is not on the cross. Okay, that's the Roman victory when they think they killed our Christ. No, you didn't. He's alive. But on the t-shirt it said, what would Jesus bomb? What would Jesus bomb? Well, Jesus wouldn't bomb either one. Now look, when he comes back and pours out his wrath, oh, there will be fire and hail mingled with blood coming out of heaven. That's going to happen. But right now, as Christians, we are not to advocate for bombing other countries to get our political way. It's not right. In fact, we read about it in Sunday school. He touched on Barabbas, the insurrectionist that fought off the Romans. It's not Barabbas Christ, it's Jesus Christ. He did it a different way. Barabbas was a murderer. He took innocent life. Jesus healed life, didn't he? He gave eternal life. Among the dissenting voices is Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know who this is, who expressed concern that the bill's definition of anti-Semitism could potentially, listen to this, criminalize Christians for their religious beliefs, particularly narratives in the gospel regarding the death of Jesus Christ. Anti-Semitism is wrong. This is another quote. Or no, this is still her quote, I guess. Anti-Semitism is wrong, but I will not be voting for the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act of 2023 called H.R. 6090 today that could convict Christians of anti-Semitism for believing the gospel that says Jesus was handed over to Herod to be crucified by the Jews. Reading the Bible, preaching the gospel is becoming hate speech in America. It's passed the House of Representatives. Now it's headed to the Senate. Definition and examples adopted by the bill based on the IHRA are this, and I'll just read a couple. Making stereotypical allegations about the Jews as such, or the power of Jews as collective, such as especially but not exclusively the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy, or the Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other social institutions. You can't say, man, there's a conspiracy in the media, and I think you can't say that. That would be hate speech. Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust by saying, why are they using these numbers larger than what they originally reported? Here's another one. Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel than their own nation. Now, we in America, we have what used to be called the title of nobility. We forbade that when you're in America, France can't make you a noble in their country. You're supposed to be loyal to your country when you're a politician in this country. There are many politicians in the House and the Senate that are dual citizenship for Israel, and they're the ones voting for $100 billion to keep a war going, or to start a war and to send your children off there. Here's another one. Using the symbols and images associated with classical anti-Semitism, claiming the Jews' killing of Jesus. If you claim that the Jews killed Jesus, that's hate speech in America. That's where they're going with this. Again, when they said anti-Semitism is wrong, I agree with that. Amen. We don't hate people based on their bloodline. And look, I hate the wicked religions. I hate Roman Catholicism, but when I meet a Catholic, I love them enough to preach the gospel. This is important. Here's another one. Drawing comparisons of contemporary Israel policy to that of the Nazis. By saying what the Nazis did, the Jews are doing the same exact thing. They're building walls, they're putting barbed wire, they're locking up people, they're killing innocent. You're not allowed to say that. Well, I mean, there are many people that make these, well, actually, here's what they did and here's what they did. Did you know that Orthodox Judaism is 100% opposed to Zionism? Zionism is a political movement that was started in the late 1800s. And in Judaism, there are many shades, just as there are with Baptists. You guys ever been to a Baptist church where you're like, I don't know if they're my kind of Baptist or not? You know what I'm talking about? There's many shades in that spectrum. Well, it's the same thing with Judaism. Orthodox is your traditional, and they are 100% opposed to the political Zionist movement where they want to build a temple and crown their king, the son of David. That is the agenda of Zionism, is to set up their Messiah. Orthodox Judaism is opposed to it, and they're literally going to say, well, you're a racist, and that's hate speech for opposing our political movement. This is kind of confusing when you get down to it. Like, half of Judaism disagrees. There's protests in Israel right now saying, stop the war. Why are we doing this? They're going to call them racist and say that's hate speech to not support the war. And guess what? They want to do the same thing in America.
All right. Yeah, I saw a lot of folks in the chat saying that they really like this guy. I do too. And for those who want to know, it is Law of Liberty YouTube channel. Really good stuff. Law of Liberty. So highly recommended, and I've seen maybe 2 videos. I saw this one and one other short one. There was another video that the pastor here, I think his last name is Fannin, Pastor Fannin, made on when, talking about the pre-trib rapture versus when the rapture will actually happen. And surprisingly, his timeline looks a lot like my timeline. So I was really surprised to see that. But yeah, the other video that I watched there was, I think it was even maybe more recent than this one is. But yeah, this is HR 6090, Criminalizing Anti-Zionism. This was uploaded on the 19th, or premiered on the 19th, so it's about a week old. Anyway, really good info, and Pastor Fannin, I think, is doing a really good job. So feel free to have a look at that. Law of Liberty on YouTube. Good stuff. But yeah, I thought he made some really, really good points there about Israel and everything that was happening. So, stabbings to show trials, 9 simple steps to criminalize free speech. Take away your people's right to free expression and watch them thank you for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see the talk bubble there with the barbed wire. In the wake of the Southport attack, this is with the little girls that I've mentioned multiple times here in the UK, little girls who were knifed to death. In the wake of the Southport attack and ensuing riots, we wrote that the agenda had become clear. It was about attacking free speech. Little did we suspect how quickly they would move, how brazenly authoritarian they would become, culminating in quite literal show trials for Facebook posts.
You have been committed for sentence, having pleaded guilty to an offence of publishing written material which is threatening, abusive or insulting, intending thereby to stir up racial hatred. The context of your offending is that it arises out of the civil unrest and disorder in many parts of the United Kingdom. On the night of the 2nd and 3rd of August, the Britannia Hotel in Leeds was attacked by people who threw missiles which damaged windows. The police were called, and on the 3rd of August the hotel was locked down for the protection of those who were living there. At the time there were 210 occupants, many of whom were foreign refugees and asylum seekers. Similar attacks to the hotel were launched on the 4th of August. The police attended on each occasion, and units were deployed to safeguard the hotel and to provide an increase in the police presence in the area. In between the 2 attacks, you took to social media in order to encourage others towards participation in the attacks upon the hotel. As is recognised on your behalf, this offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. You will serve up to 1/2 of your sentence in custody before you are released on licence. If you fail to abide by the conditions of your licence, you can be returned to prison to serve some or all of the remainder of the custodial term. The victim surcharge will apply, and I will make a collection order.
There you have it. Yep. They mean business, don't they? This doofus in a wig gets to decide the fate of somebody who posted online. So insane. But that's where we are. I mean, this is, 20 months for posting on Facebook. All while these so-called liberals are applauding and spouting phrases they don't realize they've been hypnotized into believing through endless repetition. Tolerating intolerance just leads to more intolerance in the end. Free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. It was never an absolute right, so they say. If it wasn't obvious from the outset, it's quite clear now that this entire situation has been a contrivance. As it turns out, it was a masterfully played hand that has perfectly set up the template for other governments who may want to crack down on free expression in the future. And I'm going to account this to King Charles III. I'll just come out with it right now. I think that's who is behind all of this, at least in the UK. Violent incident, push misinformation, foment violence, debunk misinformation, quote unquote, blame social media, arrests, show trials and sentencing, legislation, and enjoy your precedent. Bathe in the adoration of people who should know better, and enjoy your precedent and be ready to use it whenever you want to. So that is where we are. And we were just talking about the Noahide laws and what that might involve as well, the beheadings and so forth. I saw you guys in chat talking about that. And this is what we're talking about. This is the freedom of expression that is now being curtailed, being subdued everywhere in the world. And they're using the UK as a trial run here, but they're going to be implementing this here too, and everywhere, at least in the West. So anyway, that's where we are. That is where we are, my friends. Naturalnews.com, we've got a few headlines here. Massive scandal unravels after Biden-Harris regime fabricated 818,000 jobs to fake an abundant economy. We all know better, though, don't we? How can Ukraine be a free democracy when its government under Zelensky is persecuting Christians by banning the Orthodox Church? Hope in vain. Hope without promises or commitment. The Obama-style empty rhetoric now to live on through Commie Kamala. Obama is a sleeper cell. Yeah, and very interesting, this whole thing about hope and how it was, I don't know, one of the Soviet leaders, maybe Lenin or one of them, who used that as a campaign promise as well. Hope. So, very strange. Yep, and then I mentioned this earlier. Government report links fluoride intake to lowered IQ in children. And that article I've got pulled up here as well. So, we all know about fluoride, but if you don't know, you should know. The United States government has once again found that consuming fluoride is really dangerous, especially for children. New report from the National Toxicology Program, a division of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, reveals that exposure to fluoridated water at levels twice the recommended limit of 0.7 milligrams per liter of water is linked to lower IQ. Keep in mind that prior to 2015, the government recommended fluoride level for drinking water was 1.5. So there you go. For many decades, and still some in some U.S. cities today that have not adjusted their fluoride levels to the new 0.7 standard. Come across the U.S., children across the U.S. have been forced to consume and bathe in water that was fluoridated at levels of 1.5, with which the NTP, the National Toxicology Program, now admits causes brain damage and lowers IQ in children. Yes, if you're not filtering your shower water, your showers, you should do that. You can get a shower filter pretty cheaply. So definitely don't want to be taking a hot shower in fluoride if you can help it. So I would recommend that. Drinking, bathing, any amount of fluoride isn't safe. It's because it's not fluoride. It's not calcium fluoride. It's hydrofluorosilicic acid, right? Not sure if that's mentioned on here, but that is a huge red flag. So toxic. Hydrofluorosilicic acid. That is not calcium fluoride, which we do require a little bit of that, but we require 0 hydrofluorosilicic acid. And if you want to learn more about what's going on with fluoride, I think this is probably the best website around for it. Fluoride Action Network. And I'll link to this in the Substack post, but it's Fluoride Alert. fluoridealert.org. They do some really good work on fluoride and have been around for quite some time. Talks about the health effects and overexposure, dental fluorosis, and all this stuff. So there's lots of really good info on this site. Fluoride Action Network, fluoridealert.org. They're not paying me to advertise for them. I just think they're doing a good job. And we've had the founder of the Fluoride Action Network on Lost Arts Radio before. This is him over here, actually, in this photo. Dr. Paul Connett, who's done some really good work in this area. Anyway, just wanted to recommend that. I thought they're doing good work out there. LeoHoman.com, Global Digital Marketing System coming soon to United States of America. Biden admin working on a draft executive order. I've been reporting, this is Leo Homan talking, I've been reporting about this for exactly 4 years, warning people that it was coming and prepare for the day when you won't be able to buy or sell unless you submit to a biometric digital ID based on the scan of your eyeballs, your palm, some other unique physical feature. Whoever submits to a biometric digital ID is accepting a sinister system designed for one reason and one reason only, to inventory and control every human being on the planet through the power of AI. If you submit to a system that bars people who reject the digitalization of their identities from entering certain public places and bars them from purchasing essential items, including food and fuel, and bars them from having a bank account or working most jobs, how is that not a beast system resembling that which is described in Revelation 13? That's what we're on the edge of happening, and they are unfolding all of this now. Way too many people, including Christians, believe such a thing will never happen in America, at least not in their lifetimes. They suffer from chronic normalcy bias. If such a system were to appear, they will not believe it is what it is, because their pastors will tell them that it can't be that. It can't be the mark of the beast. No, not here, not now. That's way off in the future, and only after certain other events take place, they will say. They would be wrong. It's happening now. It's all unfolding now. Says, never mind that this system is already fully functional and being implemented in several dozen countries around the world. America is different, they say. America is exceptional, quote unquote, and our government would never be allowed to force us to get digitally marked, allowing authorities to tag and track us wherever we go, like cattle in a feedlot awaiting their ultimate destination at the slaughterhouse. Well. Look at this article posted on August the 20th by The Defender, which cites a non-profit news outlet as having obtained a draft executive order that will speed up the implementation of digital IDs in America. This confirms what we conspiracy theorists have been warning about for several years. Is anyone asked we the people if we want this? Of course not. It will just be jammed down our throats. Yeah, and there's even more. There's more here about the digital ID coming soon, and I would say to take it a step further, it will be tied to directly those components that have been injected into people. Anyways, not good, but I think Leo is doing a good job reporting on what's going on here with that. Global Digital Marking System. That's what it is. The mark. And then some Wine Press news articles I found that I thought were pretty interesting. Tech giants and AI researchers propose digital ID requirements to use the internet, but admit it restricts liberties. Just slightly. Many organizations are already working on the best practices for issuing, authenticating, and presenting digital credentials. The EU Digital Identity Wallet Consortium is a prominent example, and these initiatives can more directly prepare for highly capable AI. So again, back to the UK again. It's all stemming from there. I wonder why. Or at least it sure seems like it is. Well, in the World Economic Forum, and we know who's above that too, or don't we? Wall Street Journal lauds America's extreme renters who own nothing, including their own clothes. With everything becoming so expensive and inflated with the United States and Western nations, combined with a severe home affordability crisis and companies shifting their models to reflect subscription, renting, and leasing services, more and more people are becoming forever renters who own nothing. To the extreme end, where some no longer even own basics such as the shirts off their backs, utensils, and other common items that normally would be owned. The World Economic Forum has prophesied that this would be exactly the case by 2030. They didn't prophesy it. They knew it was coming because they're forcing it to happen through King Charles, who's above them. He's the one that was talking about the Great Reset before Klaus Schwab ever even mentioned it. Cyprus considers 5-year prison sentences for spreading fake news and posting offensive comments. But of course, they get to decide what's offensive. The Republic of Cyprus, a small nation sandwiched in between the Mediterranean, is proposing a controversial bill that would imprison residents for 5 years for spreading so-called fake news or writing offensive comments. Cyprus is just to the west of Israel and Lebanon, just under where Turkey is right there. So that's where it's headed. So again, back to Europe. Ukrainian parliament bans Russian Orthodox Church with claims it's pro-Kremlin. I guess that's bad. Earlier this week, the Ukrainian parliament voted to ban the Russian Orthodox Church, the ROC, from being openly practiced in the country, with claims that the religious denomination is too closely tied to Russia and President Putin. So they're going to ban the church. The Russian Orthodox Church in Ukraine. Already did. German secret police could receive unprecedented power to secretly enter and search homes and install spyware on devices to counter terrorism. Again, they get to define what things mean, like terrorism. And anything that they disagree with, they're going to call terrorism. That's why I was saying earlier, to be labeled a terrorist these days doesn't mean what it used to mean. Now it's pretty much a badge of honor. It means you're probably doing the right thing. Because the actual real terrorists who are out there killing people and imprisoning people are the people running the governments. That's the terrorists. The Federal Criminal Police Office, BKA, in Berlin, Germany, could be granted new sweeping powers by Federal Ministry of the Interior, Nancy Faeser, to allow the police to discreetly enter and search private residences and apartments for the purpose of snooping on computers and other mobile devices of suspected criminals in a supposed bid to better combat terrorism. And don't you know, they will be finding stuff anytime they look. So that's what's going on in Germany. So this oppression is happening everywhere in Europe. Rumors of war. Biden signs highly classified nuclear strategic plan for U.S. refocuses China as threat. Fake President Biden approved in March a highly classified nuclear strategic plan for the United States that, for the first time, reorients America's deterrent strategy to focus on China's rapid expansion in its nuclear arsenal. So that all happened in March, but it's just now coming out. So again, that's on Wine Press News. One more from that site. Fake data. U.S. created 818,000 fewer jobs than previously reported. Conveniently paves the way for rate cuts. U.S. added 818,000 fewer jobs than previously reported from the spring of 23 to the spring of 24, but you can bet they were touting it at the DNC the other day, indicating the labor market began to cool off earlier and faster than it appeared at the time. Well, it cooled off a long time ago, if you ask me. About the time Biden got in and COVID hit. That's when it really cooled off, if you want to call it that. Gateway Pundit update. RFK Jr. announces he will be actively campaigning for Trump. Teases Trump's upcoming announcements, plural, of Democrats joining MAGA movement. Says he's going to be campaigning actively with Trump. I want to make America healthy again. Yeah, they're calling it MAHA instead of MAGA or MAGA. Make America healthy again. I think that's a good plan. Although it may be a little too late. Still, though, you have to admire his desire to see the people of this country get in better shape and better health. Speaking of which, I found this meme and thought it was very appropriate. Your disease is caused by your lifestyle. So the girl says, should I change my lifestyle? To the doctor. He says, not at all. Here's a pill. Yeah. That sums it up. This was kind of funny. FDA fact check of RFK Jr.'s claim that 50% of its funding comes from Big Pharma backfires bigly. The FDA, the Food and, well, I call them the Fraud and Death Administration, ridiculed online after pointing out it's actually 47% of its funding that comes from Big Pharma. So it says you can't make this up. In response to the claim, this is from RFK Jr., his claim that 50% of the FDA's budget comes from Big Pharma, which is a terrible incentive. The agency released its official statement, so this is the fact check, saying that no, it's only 47%, not 50%. An executive order should be signed tomorrow making this zero. Well, it's not going to happen that way with Biden and or Harris in there for sure. So, pretty funny. So the fact check, I'm sure the people at the fact checker's office feel really good about what they fact checked and fixed. It's not 50%. RFK, you don't know what you're talking about. It's 47%. This is where we are. Breaking, RFK Jr. officially endorses Trump, formally announces he will partner with Trump administration. This is really from back on Friday when it was all announced. And regime strikes back. Secret Service rips away RFK Jr.'s protection after endorsing Trump. So, okay. Game on, right? Let's hope these guys can stay alive. But yeah, they've taken away the Secret Service. Even though he's officially suspended his campaign, he didn't withdraw, as we mentioned earlier. Nope, he gets no Secret Service protection, which I wasn't sure he even had any anyway, but I think he was asking for more earlier, and they said no. He gets none now. So get ready for somebody to attempt something bad on RFK Jr. most likely now, in addition to probably continuing to attempt things on Trump's life. Lefty journalist admits the truth about why Kamala is hiding from the press. Well, she's trying to win the election. At least he's being honest here. John Harwood on CNN admits she's taking the Joe Biden basement campaign approach because, quote, she's trying to win the election, end quote. I mean, Biden did it. Fairly and squarely, right? He had more votes than has ever happened in the history of this country. 81 million people voted for Biden. No, he had 81 million votes, maybe, but not by 81 million people. anyway, I think it's funny that he's admitting the truth here. She's trying to win the election, so of course she's campaigning from the basement, hiding. Huge. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. teases more big names are coming out for Trump. Wait until you see the next editions, he says. This actually was a good speech. I did listen to this. I haven't heard too many Trump speeches lately, but this one in Arizona a couple days ago, I guess it was Friday, where RFK Jr. comes out on stage with him and gives a short speech as well, and then Trump finishes his speech. I thought it was pretty good. It was, for some reason, not full of all this hatred that we're told. I'm not sure why. It's like they're not quite telling the truth about that or something. But anyway, it says in a moment that will be etched into the annals of American history. Trump took to the stage in Glendale and introduced Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to a roaring crowd of thousands. The atmosphere was electric as Trump and Kennedy, two titans of American politics from vastly different backgrounds, stood shoulder to shoulder in what can only be described as a hair-raising monumental alliance. I don't know if it was all that, but it says Kennedy then endorsed Trump and then promised to tackle the most important issues facing the country today: the assault by the left on free speech, the chronic health crises today in America, and ending the war in Ukraine. And he's also talked about Israel as well, although not as much. He's more concerned about the Russia-Ukraine thing, it seems like. The announcement left Democrats in shock, not knowing how to reply. CNN person said it's huge, it's everything. But it looks like Trump has not finished yet. RFK Jr. tweeted on Sunday that his endorsement is only the beginning. Wait till you see the next additions to Trump's unity government. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see who else is going to come out for the dawn. But yeah, it's looking pretty interesting, which sort of goes back to my point here. Trump better get his airplane engines checked, because, man, that'll probably be the next step. They probably won't try and shoot him again. They'll probably try and blow up the plane or poison him or something. Kamala's America, horde of laughing youths chase down and viciously assault a 62-year-old New York man during his evening walk. Victim left with $5,000 in medical bills, but he is still alive, surprisingly. Soft on crime policies of the Democrat Party led by Harris continue to unleash terror on law-abiding citizens. New York Post reported on Friday that a group of 9 teens, viciously attacked a 62-year-old man during his evening walk. The incident occurred near the intersection of, and it mentions where it is in New York, I guess. Surveillance cameras captured footage of one perpetrator rushing up behind the man. The man responded by jumping into the middle of a busy street to avoid getting pounded. The rest of the group then chased him across the road. They eventually catch up with him and laugh while beating him viciously. The victim was left with multiple injuries, including bruises on his knee and stitches in one of his fingers. Racked up a $5,000 medical expense bill here, which that doesn't take long, of course. His mouth's all messed up. He was blindsided and kicked all over his body. So he fell flat on his face. He's not expecting anybody to hit him. Says the victim said he thought that the unruly group was just going to play a joke on him based on one of their actions. He raised his fist and said, "Pick one." I said, "Not interested." I thought he was just joking around. Staten Island Borough President condemned the senseless violence and noted the incident could have ended with the victim getting killed. Yeah, he could have gotten hit by a car, because he literally jumped into traffic to avoid these kids. Man, Sodom and Gomorrah. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Nancy Pelosi on winning back Congress to stop Trump and help Kamala become next president on January 6th. Weird. Next president, January 6th. We're very discreet, reptilian, and cold-blooded. She actually said that they're reptilian. And I don't know that you've heard this, so I wanted to play this for you guys. We're very discreet, reptilian, and cold-blooded.
In the last election, they said we were going to lose 30 or 40 seats. What? They didn't know what they were talking about. We know we're different from the presidential. We're very discreet, reptilian, cold-blooded. These are the races we have to win. Others are winning the whole country. 10.
Okay. So, yeah, you can see this lady that she's sitting by. You can see her face when she says reptilian. Reptilian. This lady here just busts out laughing. I can add a few adjectives as well. Evil, demonically influenced, and treasonous communists. And this person says, have another martini, Nancy. So, yeah, she is admitting that they're reptilian. But it didn't surprise any of us, did it? WAPO columnist Capehart says USA chants at GOP rallies felt menacing, but gushes over the chants at the DNC. I wondered about this because watching those many hours of this Democrat national catastrophe that I watched last week, this past week, I noticed they were all out there chanting USA, USA, and no one seemed to be getting triggered. So it's okay when they do it, but if people on the right do it, then it's menacing to say the exact same thing in the same way. During PBS NewsHour coverage of 3 nights of the Democrat national catastrophe, Washington Post's Jonathan Capehart shared that hearing the USA, USA chants at Republican rallies felt menacing. Yet somehow, those same chants were just fine when they came from an arena of America-hating Democrats at the DNC. I can't believe more people weren't triggered, though. You would have thought, given what's happened in the past with Trump derangement syndrome and people just being triggered and falling over and rolling around on the floor and having breakdowns, you would have thought that would happen at the DNC, but nope, it didn't happen. So again, it's okay when they do it. Wow, CNN and MSNBC mute RFK Jr.'s press conference when he speaks out on fake news media and coup by the shadowy DNC operatives to replace Biden. They muted him. Robert F. Kennedy on Friday officially announced the suspension of his candidacy in 2024 election and endorsed Trump. MSNBC also did not want their viewers to hear Kennedy's remarks and spoke over his muted speech. So they muted him and talked over him. That's what they did. And so did CNN. CNN cut his microphone from the network and began speaking over him. So they let him talk on camera, but you couldn't hear him. Isn't that nice? But they're the party of free speech. And then Truth in Media this week, we have a new article and actual video about the truth about Nazis in Ukraine. The 10th episode will uncover the truth about neo-Nazism in Ukraine and the penetration of far-right nationalist groups throughout Ukraine's military and government. It will provide a profile of the Azov Battalion, the glorification of World War II Nazi collaborator Bandera, and the neo-Nazi figures that surround Zelensky. As Zelensky said, they are what they are. He fully admitted that they are Nazis. He just said they are what they are. Musk should be nervous. Deep State lackey admits real target following Telegram's founder's arrest. So that's taking it a step further, I guess. So this is sort of insinuating that the real target here is Elon Musk. They arrested this guy. They want to get him off the streets because they don't want Telegram operating. But of course, when you compare the people on Telegram to the people on Twitter, it's a drop in the bucket. So they get him out of the way. Maybe Musk will be getting nervous. I don't know. I'm not so sure that he would be, but that's what this article is about. It's on activistpost.com. In defense of crazy conspiracy theories, Daisy Luther article, usually pretty good. Conspiracy theories, what to some is a sign of critical thinking is to others a sign of dangerous insubordination. Good argument can stand up to criticism, and that finding someone who disagreed was a fine way to test your theory. I've never been too bothered when folks disagree with me. In fact, I'm eager to know why. I want to learn whether or not I'm missing something, but these days, it seems that I'm in the minority, according to Daisy Luther here. The danger, quote-unquote, of conspiracy theories. The term has long been used in a derogatory fashion to belittle the ideas of a person who doesn't necessarily accept that everything can be taken at face value. These days, it's used to denote a train of thought that is downright dangerous, even an existential threat to civil society. what's everyone so afraid of? Normies, folks who aren't asking big questions of the status quo, used to just shake their heads and smile at the quirky conspiracy theorist in their life. They considered it a harmless pastime and eccentricity. However, now we have the media breathlessly warning people of the innate deadly danger of conspiracy theories and the people who espouse them. Outright fear is being stoked. Let's take a closer look. Talking about the FBI and then so forth. And then it gets into the film 2,000 Mules about the 2020 election. The thing is, conspiracy theories are often more valid than the news, quote unquote. Yeah, so this is a pretty good article here on conspiracy theories and how it's the actual truth most of the time. Anyway, that's on Activist Post, and this one as well. Prepare for an era of shock events. I mentioned this earlier. WEF's Klaus Schwab warns World Economic Forum is a well-funded organization many consider terrorists that is permitted to wreak havoc on the global population with no repercussions. They are the real terrorists, calling us all terrorists. Just remember that. Americans now need $2.5 million to be considered wealthy, according to a Charles Schwab survey, not Klaus Schwab. The amount of money required to be seen as rich has risen over the past years amid inflation, with younger people having a lower wealth benchmark, according to a recent survey by Charles Schwab's company. California had the highest wealth expectations, with respondents from San Francisco saying it takes $4.4 million to be considered rich. Southern California was at the second spot with $3.4 million. Dallas, Phoenix, and Houston had the lowest thresholds at $2.2 and $2.3 million to be considered rich. So, I don't know. I'm probably in the vastly broke category. I don't know about you guys. But that's crazy. $2.5 million to be considered wealthy these days. Shows you how much money there is out there and the separation between the haves and the have-nots. All right. Now, this is something that, for some reason, just popped up all of a sudden this week. I have no idea why. We've talked about it before. And you may know where I'm at in this whole thing, but I just wanted to bring it up again because it's important. And as Christians, I think it keeps coming up over and over again. So I'm going to give you guys my perspective on this, and you can take it for what it's worth. You can throw it out if you don't like it. But I personally think it's valid because I've looked at it pretty close, and I'm going to try and prove that, number one, it's important. Number two, it doesn't matter. How about that? Exclusive, new blood analysis of the Shroud of Turin supports biblical story about Jesus' crucifixion. Now, that headline, you say, okay, I can respect that. They're saying they found blood on the Shroud of Turin, which I already knew about. And you guys know, as far as the Jesus blood story, if you see my End Times Dates Part 4, where we get into talking about Jesus' blood and the analysis that was done on the blood that Ron Wyatt found in the cave underneath the cross holes in Jerusalem there where the Ark was discovered, meaning the Ark of the Covenant. That's the real blood, in my opinion. What this blood is referring to on the Shroud of Turin is highly suspect, if you ask me. But I digress. Let's keep moving here. The agonizing crucifixion of Jesus from the Bible details how he endured severe beatings, punctures, and nails driven into his hands and feet. Christians believe those wounds were miraculously imprinted on the burial shroud after Jesus was resurrected from the dead, scorched into the fibers by a burst of energy when he came back to life. Which, I get that. Now, a new analysis of the Shroud of Turin, also known as the Holy Shroud, claims to have uncovered evidence that the crucifixion may be historically accurate, which we all know is true. That's true. I'm not sure that the shroud proves it, but we know it's true just from history. An engineer from university in Italy here that's mentioned, Padua, University of Padua, used modern technology to reanalyze samples taken from the cloth in the 70s, finding tiny blood particles showing signs of organ failure, trauma, disease, and radiation. Materials that were in a typical ancient Jerusalem were also said to be discovered, suggesting that the shroud may have originated in the region and not in Europe, where many skeptics think it was created as a medieval forgery. Which I'm semi in that ballpark, in that area. Independent experts dismissed the findings, however, saying blood could have contaminated the cloth at any point in the last 700 years. The Shroud of Turin is a 14-foot long piece of linen featuring a faint image of the front of a man who Christians believe to be Jesus. And I know people who worship this thing and think that it is actually that. The cloth was first presented to the public in the 1350s when it was exhibited in a church in a village in northern France. Some believe it to be a medieval fake. It was not until 1978 when the first physical samples were removed from the cloth, done using adhesive tape to carefully lift particles from the front fiber and a vacuum to collect dust from the back. So that's highly accurate, I'm sure. But back then, the results were inconclusive about whether or not blood had been presented in the samples. So according to this guy, they've used this new process, quote unquote, and reanalyzed the particles. It says showed presence of hemoglobin in the reanalyzed particles, which is a key component of blood, and also two different types of blood that were labeled type A and type B. I'm not sure if that means blood type A or type B. I suppose it is. Says that this scientist says that the cloth was used on someone with bloody injuries rather than forged using ink, dye, paint, or other techniques. And I would agree with that. I think it probably really is blood. The question is, whose? If you ask me. Traces of creatine were also identified in the shroud sample, which is released into the bloodstream when a person undergoes muscle breakdown or some type of trauma. Your blood produces creatine from amino acids in your liver, kidneys, and pancreas. It's also present in foods. The body releases the chemical into the bloodstream when cells in the brain, heart, or skeletal muscles are damaged. So you can see here, this is the guys from the 70s who were using Scotch tape on the cloth here. No, some sort of tape. And then here's the cloth, of course. Here's the close-up of the, I guess, hemoglobin samples and so forth. So this all just came out again. I don't know why. I guess it was mostly because of the new evidence, supposedly, that was found. This article is dated just 4 days ago, so it's a pretty new article. And then this is more of the same. This is on Gateway Pundit, though. But a potentially historic new study has been published in journal Heritage, placing the biblical mystery and the Shroud of Turin at the center of the controversy once again. So, again, this is talking about the same idea here. But what I wanted to mention was, and I've mentioned it before, it's just been a while. It's been some time, actually, that I think it was Da Vinci that did it. I think Da Vinci is the guy behind the shroud, personally. And I do think it's a fake, unfortunately. But I wanted to play a little bit of this, these two videos here before we get too far down the rabbit hole. I wanted to read this one because on the surface it sounds crazy, but it's actually got some truth to this. So this says, Mama Bear's coming. Colorado State rep goes off on woke educator for teaching her son that Mona Lisa painter Da Vinci was gender fluid. Okay, well, you get the idea there. And yes, I know, that's the Mona Lisa. That is not the Shroud of Turin. However, it's connected. It's Da Vinci. So it is connected. So you can see here how this particular simple video, they just took the known self-portrait of Da Vinci and did a horizontal flip-flop, kind of like they did with the King Charles portrait, the red painting where everybody was flipping it and turning it around and all this stuff. So this is a very similar thing, and this person is positing, and I agree with them, that the Mona Lisa was actually Da Vinci as a woman. All right. So going back to our article here, Mama Bear's coming. Colorado state rep goes off on woke educator for teaching her son that Mona Lisa painter Leonardo da Vinci was gender fluid. I'm not saying that he was gender fluid, but I do think it was him. And this article is criticizing that particular idea, just saying that says one of the oldest rules in life is never get between a mother and her kids. New York Post reported Saturday Colorado Representative Bradley last week went off on her 15-year-old son's teacher for trying to brainwash him into believing the famous Mona Lisa painter Leonardo da Vinci was gender fluid, which I agree that's wrong. And I think, who knows that whether or not he was gender fluid. I don't think anybody's ever been gender fluid. But the point is, I do think that there is some truth to the fact that it probably really was him as a woman. Now, here's what it says. Her righteous tirade began on X. Upon learning the news on August 21st, she vowed to confront the teacher face-to-face, would be the angry mama bear, blah, blah, blah. And saying that tonight's back-to-school night, she had no idea what kind of mama bear is coming for her. Talking about teaching her kid wrongly that Da Vinci was gender fluid. But the point here is not the gender fluid part. The point here is that looking at this, just this video, you can kind of see real simply here that the Mona Lisa and Da Vinci could be the same person, just looking at this simple video. Well, we're going to address it a little bit more in this clip that I'm going to show, but this goes back to the shroud. And this is talking about how Da Vinci could have faked the Shroud of Turin, and then it goes into, based on that, it goes into how he probably also painted himself as the Mona Lisa. So this is crazy, I know, but it is all connected. And I wanted to mention this again because I do think it's important, because there are so many Christians out there that believe the shroud is real. And you're welcome to believe that. I personally don't think it is, because I think what Da Vinci did, and it's explained really well in this video, I think that it definitely leaves you with, okay, yes, it could be faked. And if anybody could do it, Da Vinci could do it. So let's watch this clip. I think that this will have a lot of really good information for you if you've never heard this before. Okay, we are back, except we are not on YouTube at the moment, so that's all right. I wondered if that would cause some sort of issue. I think it was probably because the video is already on YouTube. My guess is it was the music that did it, perhaps. But we do still seem to be live streaming okay on Rumble and on Facebook, from what I can tell. But that's all right. We'll finish the show. We were nearly done, so I just wanted to bring you guys' attention to that particular video. And we just watched, like, I don't know, several minutes of it. Obviously, wasn't the whole thing. It's a pretty good expose into the whole Da Vinci thing with the shroud. So, take it for what it's worth. You're welcome to believe that the shroud is real. I personally think it's not, but it is not, as Tim Alberino would say, it is not a salvific issue. Your salvation is not hinged on whether or not you believe the Shroud of Turin is real. That's what I think. So, Verba Homefront had a question. Doug, what would be Da Vinci's purpose in faking the shroud? Well, he was broke. And Da Vinci was really hurting for money. He was commissioned by a very, very wealthy family to create the shroud, to create something like this. So it was so that they could, showcase it in whatever church or whatever, and then draw more people in and raise more money. So that was kind of the idea there between the, the shroud and how it came to be, as far as, Da Vinci was basically commissioned to do it. He needed the money. So, and actually this documentary talks about that. So again, you're welcome to believe what you want to believe about the shroud. I personally don't think it's real. Unfortunately, I wish it was real, but I don't think it is. And to me, it's not really that important because, Jesus died for us, and we know this. We don't really need the evidence of a cloth that supposedly covered him to prove it either way. I mean, we know that we know that we know, right? Looks like everyone joined back over here in Rumble for the most part. So thank you guys for hopping on in the chat on Rumble. Unfortunately, I can't show the chat on the live stream. The Rumble chat does not connect to my live stream software, unfortunately. Or I would put that on there as well, but it's just the Facebook comments and the YouTube comments that show up on there. So anyway, I wanted to mention all of that, and I'm pretty sure it was probably either just the visual from that particular video, which is already on YouTube, or it may be the music that made the live stream stop, but that's all right. We'll fix it in post, as they say. Federal Reserve Cartel, the Round Table, and the Illuminati. So for anybody who wants to delve deeper into either one of these topics, pretty interesting. Always good info here on Global Research website, talking about more or less a deep dive on the Federal Reserve Cartel. So, and that is what it is. It is definitely a cartel, still is. NotTheBee.com. Thought this one was kind of interesting and pretty well done. So let's look at this. This is a short little 1-minute clip. I'll just stay on camera here. It says, this guy made an ad targeting Kamala's supposed joy campaign, and it's absolutely brutal. The Harris and Waltz team are running on a platform of joy, but what is this whole joy thing about? And then this is the ad that was made. So let's watch this. Hopefully this one won't get me into trouble too. Here it is.
We will do it with joy.
Them are telling me their salaries just aren't keeping up.
I'm setting my savings.
I have to move in with my kids.
I'm calling it a war against fentanyl, and they believe it starts right here at the border.
A Minnesota bail fund supported by Kamala Harris.
Free and alleged domestic abuser.
Prosecutors charged him with murder.
You guys think about your questions?
She's laughing at you. She's laughing at you. That she is. Says, seriously, Trump needs to buy this ad and get it up on his social media pages. Yeah, I don't see that happening, but yeah, he should. I agree. It's pretty well done. So that's the joy and the cackle. Anyway, I thought that was pretty neat. Good, very well done. Watch, RFK Jr. exposes seed oils, processed foods, and agro-industrial complex on Fox. USDA, FDA have been captured by the industries they're supposed to regulate, and they all have an interest in subsidies and then mass poisoning the American public, Kennedy said. That it is, and there's the longer video clip if you want to watch it. It's on InfoWars. And let's see. Modernity.news, 3/4 of Democrat voters don't know what any of Harris's policies are, and do they even care? No, they don't care because they believe Trump is evil, and Republicans are evil, and MAGA is evil, and they're the good guys out to save the world from Trump and the MAGA people. Literally, they believe that. It's their religion. New polls found about 3/4 of Democrat voters have no clue what Harris's positions on key political issues are. They also don't know that she's a communist. The survey conducted by the Media Research Center found that over 70% of registered Democrats, as well as independents, say they either had not heard of Harris's position or were unsure on 10 different issues. It's because she doesn't state what they are, at least not recently. So, anyway, exclusive poll says most Dem voters don't know about Harris's radicalism. It's 2020 all over again. As it stands now, another leftist media cover-up will decide the election. That it will. That one's on modernity.news. And then one more from there. Hillary posts a creepy photo of Harris gesticulating at a child and says the future is here. So this is the photo that they're talking about. Hillary Clinton gleefully posted a photo of Kamala speaking at the DNC, which was captured from an angle that made her look like a dictator lecturing a child. Worse still, Clinton captioned the photo, "The future's here. We just have to unlock it." So that's the photo in question there. You can see old dictator Kamala there. Comments and replies are blocked, of course. There's a definite vibe to this. Yeah. So yeah, it's same vibe. You can see the 1984 scenes there. You will love the avatar. They will worship the avatar. They will obey the avatar. So, some interesting posts and stuff people have put about this photo that Hillary was really turned on about. So, she would like to be the dictator, I'm sure. And I would still say, don't count Hillary out. Her evil knows no bounds. All right, vaccineimpact.com, just some of the headlines. Big Food has taken over the USDA National Organic Program. Why I am no longer importing certified organic food, according to this guy here that wrote this article. You can see who owns the organics in this flowchart here. Innocent children continue to die in the nation's evil foster care child trafficking system. So that an in-depth article there about the foster system. Whoever is selected as the next U.S. president, Jeffrey Epstein, will be the real winner. Yep, that could very well be. The way of salvation has always been by faith and obedience, not by a chosen nation or religion. Yeah, as previously reported, New Testament portion of the Bible did not start a new religion called Christianity. I've also written recently on biblical term the faith to show that the Bible does not endorse a specific religion. In another article I recently published, I explain how there are differences between the Old Covenant, Old Testament, and the New Covenant, New Testament. What I want to report in this article is that there is one thing that did not change between the Old and New Testaments, and that's the fact that salvation by God has always been by faith and not through a chosen people or a religion. And that has always been true. So that's pretty interesting. That is an article on vaccineimpact.com. And feel free to have a look at that if you guys want to. And then GeoWatch for this week, we had microplastics. Nanoplastic rainfall is what this one was about. Microplastics are infiltrating brain tissue, studies show. There was nowhere left untouched. A new report from The Guardian. Microplastics invade human brains. Researchers call for global emergency. And the global use of plastics has led to severe environmental contamination, with microplastics now found in air, water, soil, food, and human organs. Nanoplastics hijack their way into the brain, and plastics with ties to cancer. Both quotes are from CNN. Is microplastic, aka polymer, an element named in climate engineering patents? The short answer is yes. So we have GeoWatch for this week. If you haven't already listened to that, feel free to check it out, geoengineeringwatch.org, for August 24th, which was Saturday's broadcast. And then the scheduled weather for this week is going to be warm. Probably no matter where you are, unless you happen to be smack in the middle of the U.S. Warm out east and warm out west. Near normal, quote unquote, in the middle. So that is the dates August 31 to September 4th. This is what that one is. Scheduled weather for this week. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Israel 365 News rabbi says election will be a choice between Kamala Harris as Daniel's fourth kingdom or Trump as second non-Jewish Messiah. A rabbi recently published a video describing America as the spiritual descendants of Esau. The Biden-Harris administration was, he explained, the fourth kingdom described by Daniel that comes before total societal collapse. A second Trump term in office would, on the other hand, be a replay of Cyrus, the non-Jewish, quote, Messiah, who will help Israel build the temple in Jerusalem. So how about that? Does that mean that if there's going to be a temple, that it's Trump that's going to get in and help make that happen? I don't know. That's kind of what's being alluded to here by this rabbi in this article. Israel 365 News is where that one is. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I did see this short video here on the Royal Family Channel about this new music person that was appointed as the master of the king's music. Her name is Erilyn Wallen, whom I had not heard of before. I'm in the music business, as you guys know. I had not heard of her. She's a composer. And I'm sure a really good one. Classical composer. She's 66. Literally 66 years old. So I did a little research on her to try and find out more information about Erilyn Wallen. I think her website's pretty old, but they have updated some of it as far as her catalog of works, at least. And it is interesting, some of the names of some of the works that she's done. She is now officially the master of the king's music for King Charles III. So remember that. And let me read just a few names of some of the catalog of works that this composer, Erilyn Wallen, has done. So interesting, The Lake, which puts in mind as the lake of fire. Anyway, so we have The Lake. We have My Life is Hell is the name of one of them. God's Penny is another one. I'm just looking at some of the names of some of the works that she's done. The Devil and the Doctor. Music for Alien Tribes. Shiite in Her Eyes, only it's not Shiite. Shiite in Her Eyes. Pretty interesting titles, huh? Are You Worried About the Rising Cost of Funerals is another one of her works. My Lord, What a Morning is another one. Puts me in mind of The Morning Star. My Lord, What a Morning. Dark Heart is another one. Deaths in Entrances is yet another one. Heart, Peace on Earth. And she is now the Antichrist, the soon-to-be Antichrist official composer. I'm just reading through some of these works that she has listed here on her website. There's actually more here. There's quite a few here. We're only about halfway through all of them. There's a lot. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. There's even more if you were to look at the... here's one called Demon. So we'll leave it at that. So kind of interesting that the new composer for King Charles III has all these songs, has all these works with all these crazy titles that are very appropriate. And she's 66. So whatever. Anyway, I just thought I would point that out. Pretty crazy stuff. All right, so let's see here. And I was going to mention this, but we're running really long tonight. So we'll talk about this in the coming weeks. We've got links to this, so you guys can check it out if you want. It's the End Times Events chart that I put out about a year and a half ago or so. All right, diamonddisc.substack.com. If you're not already on there, please join that. and you can just type your email address in, hit subscribe, and totally free. If you want to contribute, though, you certainly can and would be very much appreciated. I think I've lost more subscribers, even some of the paying ones, than I've gained. So anyway, I'm here basically working for free, so that's all right. It's okay. And the store is also available if you guys want to buy something from the store. It's definitely available and certainly appreciated. Shop.thediamond.report. The link is in the black box up there in the upper right corner. And you can see some of the items that are in the store. I haven't added anything new, but these are still really good products, and they're print on demand. So they don't exist until you order them. Hats and shirts, mugs and mouse pads and travel mugs and stickers and hoodies and all kinds of stuff. So interesting stuff there on the store, and most of it is the Diamond Report logos. However, there is the conspiracy analyst logos that we have on some of these other art items that are in the store. Conspiracy analyst, and then you'll also see the End Times Dates logo on some things as well. So that's it, I guess. And then we have the X.com profile for the Diamond Report, which is Twitter. And you can find me at The Diamond RPRT on Twitter, so please follow there. And I've tweeted and retweeted some interesting things lately on here. Well, here's a Seinfeld that says, if you elect me president, I'll do a better job than the current administration, but that's you, he says. And this guy in London is known as Blade Runner. He is finding these, I guess, camera systems on all these various light poles and different poles that are being put up. He's not the only one doing it, but he's literally taking a like a chainsaw, a small saw of some sort, and chopping them down. So, wow. And he's not even in jail yet. Blade Runner is at it again. Good on you, it says. So he's cutting it, and then he just pushes it down. There it goes. Timber. There goes that camera. So that's, people striking back. I guess that's good. Good stuff. Michael Bloomberg has 6 planes, 3 helicopters, 11 houses, and 42 cars. He thinks you should use public transportation to save the environment. 2 Indians walk into a bar, and their names are Lying Dog and Spread Eagle. Pretty funny. And this is a RFK Jr. quote. Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country and our children is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. Well said. RFK Jr. Anyway, that is what I had for you guys tonight. Make sure you're following along on YouTube and everywhere else that you can. Take to Lord in Prayer End Times Dates on YouTube. Hopefully I won't get a strike tonight for running the live stream that they cut off, but I don't think I will. I think it was just a copyright thing, and it probably won't be a strike, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, I did publish the backup secondary broadcast that I did for my friend Bart Sabrell when I filled in for him the other day for his End Times Church podcast. So you'll find that on my YouTube channel. It's the only place it is. End Times Church with Doug. Jesus Returns, Armageddon, and the Gog-Magog War. So that is around. That's available now. It's published in public on my YouTube channel. It is still there. And hopefully you'll check that out. Let me know what you guys think. You can leave a comment on any of these videos. Comments are all turned on. And then Rumble, which many of you guys are over on Rumble at this point. So thanks for switching over. We got the big chopping block happening earlier on the Da Vinci video that I was showing. And then BitChute, I'm Diamond Disc on there, spelled right here, DIAMONDISC, and then same thing on Brighteon platform. And then I think Miss Emily posted earlier in chat on both of the platforms, Rumble and YouTube, how to join the band group, band.us/@thediamondreport. You can just type that in and go right to it. You do have to request to be a member. But it's a simple process. Either her or I will approve that, and you'll be in. So yeah, feel free to join the group. We've got some like-minded individuals, as we say, and people sharing information, funny things, memes, and different articles and things like that as well. So definitely join the band group if you're not already in there. Certainly appreciate that, and it's totally free. So I guess we will see you guys next week. It's getting late here. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. But it is, September the 1st, next Sunday will be the next broadcast. September the 1st. Hard to believe. So that'll be the next Diamond Report Live, unless something big happens between now and then. Hopefully it won't. But we'll be back here at 10 p.m. Central Time on the 1st of September. So we will see you guys then. Blessings. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight and for moving over after we switched platforms in midstream. But we're able to keep it rolling here. So we're still on Facebook, I guess. Still on Facebook and still on Rumble. YouTube cut us. They cut us off at the knees tonight, but that's all right. I'm not really that surprised. It is the way it is, right? So anyway, blessings to you all. Have a really good evening and have a good week. And feel free to stay in touch. You can reach me through the band group, obviously. You can reach me through any of the comments on any of the different platforms. Some people do write nice notes in there, and sometimes not so nice notes, but usually nice comments on the various videos, and you can also reach me through the Substack situation as well. So thank you guys very much for being here tonight. Love you all. Blessings to you guys. Take care, and we'll see you again next week.